At last, my arm is complete again.
Right, so it's 2005. Johnny Depp just wrapped on Corpse Bride and decided to work with Burton again on his next film, a musical called Sweeney Todd. There was just one tiny problem.
We were spending millions of dollars on the picture. Not one person on earth had heard Johnny sing, and he's the star of the picture.
So when he sang My Friends in his screen test for Sondheim,
My Friends, that was the first thing I ever sang. Like, basically, that was the first song I ever sang in my life.
But Burton had a relationship with Johnny and felt confident he could succeed in the role. Plus, he perfectly fit the mood and the style he was aiming for. This methodology was also used in casting Mrs. Lovett, because before production began, he once again had someone in mind, someone who would be a perfect fit and had wanted to play her since she was 11. But when it came time to sing...
If you're going to learn to sing and you're going to do your first musical, it's really stupid to do Mrs. Lovett. It's easily the most complicated part in the musical.
So why make such a risky casting decision and start production already behind? Well, it's important to remember that it's not exactly uncommon. Numerous actors have done vocal training before taking a singing role. In fact, almost 1 year before production began, another musical did just that to get the actor they wanted.
My Phantom is very different to all the others because it is high romance. The others tend to be a horror story, which didn't interest me at all.
Likewise, Burton is known for choosing actors based on the story he wants to tell and the way he wants to tell it. Hell, he even uses his old drawings as a reference when making a casting decision. With Sweeney Todd, he wanted to harken back to the silent horror movies of the 20s, and that meant he needed some actors capable of subtle expression. And while he could have turned to the stage for this, there's a big difference between stage acting and film acting. So he decided to take the risk and let his actors train for the roles. And it turned out, their combined experience actually became an advantage.
There's something quite exposing about singing. It's very, emotionally exposing, especially if you're not a trained singer. So, but that's something very interesting that he brought out of it. I mean, it just gives it a whole other level that's something that you might see on stage. There's an internal quality to it, an emotional quality, which, again, I thought was just really exciting and really amazing for this piece.
It also helped cement the film's tone, because the play was first released in the 70s, and Burton didn't want the film to simply feel like a direct adaptation of the original stage production. So by using actors who had no formal training, he could better utilize the quality of their voices.
Because they're not singers, they all bring a certain modern quality to it, which is in the piece, but it just pushes it, I think, that much further.
And to push it even more, he also made the decision to leave out a number of songs. This meant the main characters could more effectively project their feelings through the music. He wanted it to come from an intimate and internal place for them, and this process was essential for the actors who had to develop their characters in a completely unfamiliar way.
Very different than most movies, than most characters, because the character actually kind of came out of the singing, out of the words, Sondheim's words, his melodies, his kind of the emotion that the arrangements kind of evoke. So yeah, that's sort of where I heard him before I saw him, I guess.
But that wasn't the only challenge the actors faced in the recording booths. Since recording was the first thing to happen on the film, they had no set or physical space to use as a reference. This meant they had to visualize what the scene might look like and how it might play out completely on their own. It could have been a nightmare trying to get the choreography to match the pacing of the song and to hit a mark on the appropriate beat. So the actors tapped into their experience and crafted a solution.
Helena would always be there, and she'd be whispering in my ear at the recording studio, can we just try one a bit slower? Can we try one a bit faster? Because she was trying to, routine her scene out in her head.
And while this might not have been ideal for most of the musical numbers, especially the duets, it certainly helped the actors focus on the scene during filming, especially when performing specific songs.
So be there sleeping off your slippers by the sea with a fishy splash.
Good. Okay, same place?
It's very difficult to breathe here.
I know.
He hasn't left a lot of room.
He hasn't left a lot of room for breath, has he? Sounded okay there.
Okay.
Have another go.
Tim Burton took a risk with Sweeney Todd, not just in directing his first musical, but in committing to his casting choices and accepting the journey it would take them on.
I had no set process. It was kind of it was just discovering, you know, how to get there moment by moment.
So you take a first-time musical director and give them a cast full of first-time singers. It really doesn't get much harder than that. Though, something tells me Tim Burton wouldn't have had it any other way.
It was just a different thing for me. I never tried something like this. For me, it was certainly new territory, and that's what I really enjoyed doing it.